You've got to think of the person viewing your content. They're so busy. They're already got 1,200 files open in their mind, and you're trying to break through all of that clutter and noise that's going on in their life. What you need to do is make it very easy for the person to burn less brain calories when they're seeing your content.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 103. Now, a couple years ago, I met this really fun, kind, lovely little soul at one of the events I was speaking at, and her name was Rebecca Flint. And we struck up a bit of a friendship, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And she's finally launched something that I am really wanting to share with you guys. So I had to get her on to let her talk about it. Now, we've shared stages at a Meta event because I'm a trainer for Meta here in Australia. And she actually came along at one of the events and spoke on behalf of Canva. So might give you some clues on what this episode's all about. Now, Rebecca is a seasoned entrepreneur. She has over 20 years experience in owning small businesses spanning from the design and fitness sector. So she's, owned a few gyms, her own design company. She has also served as the senior community manager at Canva, yes, the Canva, and is currently recognized as a Canva verified expert. She's now launched something that is what we're going to talk a little bit about on this episode, which is called the Canva Society. So what's amazing about this is from Rebecca's experience, not only working at Canva, but her unique ability to look at designs from the eye of a designer. She has this incredible product and way of helping businesses. So whether you yourself are launching a business and feel like you suck at design, you've heard of Canva, maybe you're already using it and you're thinking you just want to use it better, or you're growing your team. You might have an assistant, a digital coordinator, and you're just not feeling like they're quite hitting the mark with the content that they're putting out for your business, then this is a must listen episode for you. And I can't wait to introduce you to Rebecca. Are you guys ready? Okay, let's welcome her to the show. Rebecca, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. You've been working on something that I have been anxiously watching behind the scenes, and I'm so excited to tell everyone about it. Guys, you're going to have to hold on though, because we're not going to talk about it yet. Teaser, it's coming, and you're going to want to listen to Rebecca's backstory and what she's built and what she's up to these days. But before we get there, because you're in an interesting spot, like you have had some incredible, let's say, day jobs that we'll talk about in a moment, as well as you're growing your own business. And so you're coming from two different angles here, but I'd like to start with 3 tips or takeaways on how to grow a business smarter, how to stay sane, how to try and, remove yourself from the anxiety and overwhelm that happens so much when we're growing our business. So what are 3 of your tips?
Oh gosh, do you know, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I'm also an ex-gymnast. So perfection for me is like, I just have to have everything perfect. But the thing is, like, if you're starting from scratch or you're launching a new program, I think in this day and age, it's so important to just get it out there, no matter how it looks, and as I was launching this program that you were alluding to a moment ago, my friend Lisa said to me, Rebecca, you're building the plane as you're flying it. And it's so true. I didn't have all the pieces together. I didn't have it perfect. And that was really hard for me as a recovering perfectionist to get something out there and done when it wasn't finished and it wasn't perfect, So I think it's really important that if you want to launch or start or grow something, especially something new, just get it out there, see what sort of feedback you're getting from people, tweak it, and pivot as you're going along to make sure that you're delivering what it is that your audience wants. So start scrappy and build the plane as you're flying it. That would be my first tip.
Excellent.
Secondly, I guess along the same lines, again, with the whole perfectionist thing, especially if you're just starting out, you don't have to have the perfect logo and the most beautiful looking branding. And that's, again, coming from me as a branding person, it's really important just to get yourself, your message, your content out there, because if you're not and you're waiting for that day where everything's perfect, you're doing your audience a huge disservice by not sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and helping them win their day, essentially. So you don't need the perfect branding. You don't need to spend tons of money on all that sort of stuff. Just get something done, say in Canva, and just get it out there. And then thirdly, I think being a mum of two, I was working full time and running this business and doing all the things. I remember the day when I literally hit the button for launch for this new program, and my son was in bed asleep. My husband was getting my daughter from gymnastics, and there was no one to celebrate with. So I just went, oh,
that was it.
Well, that's done. Okay. And the moment that I'd worked so hard for came and went with very little fanfare, and I think I just went and got a cup of tea and watched TV. But I think it's so important to celebrate your wins, no matter how big or how small. And I've very, very much learned that recently. It's important to book something ahead of time, whether it be a massage or a cocktail with a friend, or just something where you can actually go, wow, I did it. I hit the button, I pressed go, I launched this thing, and just feel really proud of yourself. So yeah, I think that's probably my 3 tips that are quite relevant for me right now. So.
I love that you said to schedule something in advance, because I think most business owners or entrepreneurial mindsets, like we are constantly trying to do the next thing, test the new thing, launch the new thing, and we literally, the second it's up, like you said, it's like, okay, on to the next thing.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's important for our mindset, but also just for us as human beings, and especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're an A-type personality, an overachiever, perfectionist, it's very easy to let these very special times come and go, and before you know it, a year or 2 can go by and you've done nothing to congratulate yourself or celebrate yourself, and it can just become very mundane and boring. So
absolutely,
yeah,
you kind of get in the habit of not celebrating. So I'm glad you said that. I also love that you talked about like just what did you say? Fly the plane before it's built. Is that what you said?
Fly it as you're building it. So, the wings might fall off, but that's okay, because you can just rebuild them and put them back on again. So, yeah, you don't need an entire plane to fly. So, just like, I guess, just if you're launching a course or a membership or a new product or service, like just even get the idea or the thought out there. Do a founding members launch. Do something where you can get some feedback and start to build the content or the product or service around what it is that your customers want. So
I interviewed a couple episodes before you a guy named Kerry Chesick, and he actually founded something in the States called restaurant.com. Like we're talking huge businesses, and he's now a business mentor. And he says that every single business he comes across, no matter how big or small, he always tells the CEO or the founder, pitch first.
Yeah.
And I freaking love that.
Yeah.
He's like, 100%. If you launch it before the pitch, you haven't even, like, you might launch to crickets. So I think that, thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and it's the same with anything, like putting social media content out there, for example, by all means, spend 3 hours on a reel. But if you don't know that your audience is going to respond to that content, don't waste the 3 hours on it, like test it first. So
brilliant.
Yeah, same thing.
Brilliant. Love. Okay, good. So you've just talked about this program that you've launched, and we're going to now find out about it. But before we go there, what's your backstory? Like, where have you come from? Because you've had some really cool jobs as well. So tell me more about you, Rebecca.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I went straight out of high school, retired as a gymnast, went out of high school, went straight into graphic design, and I got to spend a couple of years at college with that. I got a junior design job, which I promptly got fired from because I realized that I was not built to make tea and coffee and answer the phones. So I got fired, and so I thought, oh well, I'll go start my own business. So I went and started my own little design studio, which is so funny to think about now, at the ripe old age of 20, 21, I think I was. And
love it.
And then a few years later, I went off to Canada and did the whole Canada-Australia swap thing, came back, met my now husband, who was in the fitness industry. So he worked with my brother at a fitness first gym, and collectively we just all decided to open a gym together. So over the last 17, maybe 18 years now, we've opened 3 gyms from scratch. And of course, with my branding and design and marketing skills, that was my role in these businesses. And I was also in charge of building our communities within those businesses as well. So, there was the promotion of the products and services, like, say, weight loss challenges, for example. But then we found people came for the product, but they stayed for the community. And we're so proud that first gym that we opened still has 4 core team members that we hired on day one. They're still there 17 or 18 years later. 2 of those team members bought the gym from us.
Yeah.
But a lot of the members that have been there since day one are still there. So, we know for sure that community program that we built within the gym to build the brand was a really strong part of that business, I guess, model. Yeah.
Can I stop on that?
So we're going to say something? I'm going
to have you keep going, but now, so you've been talking a lot about community. I just want to segue really quickly on that. Do you have a few tips, because you're great at community. We'll learn more about that in a minute, but do you have a few tips for people on how to grow a community or grow a stronger community?
Yeah. I mean, people join the community because they have something like-minded in mind.
Yeah.
So that could be around a particular product that they love. It could be around a software service that they use. It could be just simply mums that are in business. There's got to be a common theme that they come to the community for. Typically, people then stay in a community because of the bonds and connections that they make. Oftentimes, they are very like-minded people within a particular community. And then, as part of being the community owner or manager, it's really our role to find out what it is, just like in marketing, what it is that these people need to help solve a problem, to help them move forward in life, to help them gain a new skill, perhaps. Whatever the purpose of that community is, it's our role to make sure that we either deliver the content or get the expert speakers in, or create meetups where people can start to learn and grow around the particular topic of what that community happens to be about. And look, we could talk about community. That's probably a whole other.
I know. I had to
it's
say
how to structure a community, how to deliver content to a community. So I was building communities and branding and marketing. And then I became very good at personal branding as well. So I was collecting these skills over the years, and I got invited to the Canva, it used to be called Canva Certified Creatives program. So it was for people who were using Canva, but that were pro-level designers or were pro-level content creators. And just by being part of that over the years, an opportunity came up at Canva to head up the Canva Champions group, which was the community for the affiliates of Canva. So I was able to, I kind of got invited to apply for this role because I understood small business, I understood community, I knew how to create content, I was great on video, I had all of these skills that were just perfect for this role. And I got to go and work at Canva for 2 years, which was so super fun. And I had the best time, and I got to meet thousands of people from all over the world because I was the senior community manager for the Canva Champions affiliates community group. And so I got more and more exposure into what Canva does, what the values are, who they serve. I learned really well what small business owners need in order to be able to use Canva. And I can't think of one single business owner that I know that doesn't use Canva in their business these days. So I moved to the Sunshine Coast a year ago, and my role at Canva was a Sydney-based role. So I actually decided to leave Canva, and now I'm teaching business owners how to use Canva, how to master and use Canva through courses and a special program that I just launched.
And what's the program called?
Okay, so the program's called the Canva Society.
Yes.
And it's a really supportive community group whereby I have solopreneurs, small business owners, content creators, VAs and PAs. They typically make up my audience. They come together in my Facebook community group, and twice a month I do group coaching calls where I teach them what's new in Canva. I answer all their questions that they have around where they're getting stuck in Canva. I also teach my own skills and expertise around how to create consistently branded content, how to use AI to batch create content super fast. And then anything that's new and released to the public, I can then share to my Canva Society members, so they're among the first to know whenever ever anything new happens in Canva, which is really exciting. So yeah,
amazing.
that's it.
That's where you are.
New program.
Okay, so talk to me about the program. Do doors open, close? Like how does it work? The structure?
So I just did my founding members launch, which was the playing with
Yes.
my wings, and the wings are slowly getting built at the moment. But yeah, I welcomed in 29 brand new members into the founding member launch, and I've been able to work closely with them to figure out what it is that they need and want and where they need help. And through that process, I've built out a training hub inside of the program Searchy.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm able to, so I've popped content into there. And the reason I love Searchy is because the members can go in and type in, for example, background remover tool, and it will take them to the exact point in the exact video where I talk about that exact tool. So there's no need to sit there for hours scrubbing back and forth trying to find the actual piece of content that you need. This platform actually delivers exactly what they need right then and there, so it saves a lot of time. That's which is really cool. So I'm slowly building out the content in that, and building out, a foundational if you're just getting started in Canva, and then more intermediate and then more advanced kind of content. So so I was able to serve the founding members. I did a 50% off price, offer, so that they knew that when they were coming in that there were no wings on the plane.
Yeah,
it was getting built as we go. But it's really the community that is super supportive, that they can ask questions anytime, and those 2 group coaching calls. So when I spoke about earlier today that you don't have to have it all done in order to launch, for example, they're really coming to learn from me twice a month and ask questions in the group when they need.
Yeah.
The training hub is actually a bonus really on top of that, and it's a resource that they'll have access to that will be built out over time. So instead of placing the emphasis on the membership site, I place the emphasis on how you get access to me twice a month, and you can ask questions in the group whenever you like. So so kind of just shifted the focus.
I think that's so smart, Beck, because I know when people get access to courses, they oftentimes get overwhelmed. Then they beat themselves up because they don't go through it. So a couple of things you said there are amazing to me. Number one, if they want to go through the training, they just search in Searchy what they want to know about, so they don't have to feel like they have to watch everything. And number two, you flip the whole context on its head, and we're like, you get access to somebody that has been there, done that. Plus you have the pro design background as well. So you have really cool filters that you're running through, very cool. Love it.
Thank you.
It's so good to see it come to life, because I remember I don't know, it was a couple of years ago, maybe at least, when we were talking about this.
I think it was when I just left Canva.
So good.
And then I moved my family into state, and I was actually rudely shocked as to what a toll that takes. So everything I wanted to do kind of got put on hold for a year because moving kids to new schools and finishing the build on a home and moving into a new house and living with my mum for 3 months, which was an effort on its own. My poor mum. So I guess that's another really good point. Just because you want to launch a course or start a membership, you don't have to do it right now. Do it when the time's right, when you've got the right headspace to do it, and when you can really turn up and show up for your members and give them the most value you can, so.
Really cool. Now we're going to talk through a little before and after, like a case study, because we know conceptually what this amazing program is, the society that you've created. But now I want to actually know a little bit more tactical. So think of somebody that's been going through the program with you, and let's go from point A to point B. I'm happy for you to shout out names or companies or not.
For sure.
And tell me through how this person, what they learned, what they've done specifically within your membership.
Yeah, okay. So I've got this beautiful member called Pierre. She's from Mexico. So she was my first international member, which is so exciting. I
Yay.
couldn't believe I have a member from Mexico. But yeah, she's gorgeous and she's got two different businesses. One's a coffee business and one is she teaches people how to invest in land over there so that they can have generational wealth,
Yeah.
basically. And which I just think is such an amazing thing for her to be able to teach people and show them how they can do that there, because it's, you know, it's a country that typically, you know, unfortunately lots of people don't have very much, or it's there's some quite corrupt things going on. So she's, you know, doing a really great thing. And she came in with very little knowledge about how to use Canva, and she said to me, well, first of all, she said, "Can I give you some feedback?" And I thought, you know, when you hear that as a
Your heart
business owner, you're
drops.
like,
Yeah, you're like, oh
"Oh
gosh,
gosh,
this is
where's
gonna
this
be
going?"
bad.
She said, "Yeah," and she said, "I'm beyond impressed. You know, in two or
Yeah.
three sessions, I've learnt things that I didn't even think I could do, not only in Canva but in design. And I'm happy and motivated. And of course, I treasure your sessions." And you know, to hear that she's learnt so much. And I mean, at this stage when she sent me this, I think the membership had only been open for 3 or 4 weeks. So, you know, in that time, she'd of course invested her own time into her learning and knowledge, and she'd been able to learn so much in just a really short amount of time. And so she's now being able to put content out onto Instagram
Okay.
that is improved. You know, like I'm not expecting people to be professional designers. You know, I know it's not going to be perfect, but the more that they do, the better they get at it. So I've seen an improvement in the way her content is presented. She's putting more thought into the messaging and her alignment and her hierarchy, and you know, the way she's designing on her page, and that is going to get a better result from, you know, engagement and her audience reaction and that type of thing. So yeah, so people are slowly learning how to improve their designs and also use the technical tools inside of Canva. So yeah.
Do they like actually show you their designs and go back like this is what I'm thinking and you give
Mm,
feedback? Is that part of what you do as
yes.
well?
Yeah. So whilst we're still small, I need to figure out how to scale this. And I know I can certainly do that with a VA, but at the moment they post something in Facebook and they say, "I'm having trouble with this," or "It
Yeah.
doesn't look quite right." And sometimes I can just simply say, "Oh gosh, yeah, you know, all your elements are fighting with each other. All you need to do is," one, for example, yesterday we were talking about, you know, move your patterns out to the edge and give your text some white space and breathing space, and just increase the size of the text. And what that does is it draws the eye into the main parts of the message first, and then all the other stuff is just decoration, I guess, you know. So
Yeah.
you're really wanting to draw your eye into the main part of the copy first, and that's what I was able to do through the Facebook group. Sometimes it requires a demo. So what I'll get them to do is share their Canva design with me, and then I'll jump into my demo account and I can either just do a quick screen recording of, okay, here's how your design is. Here's what I would do to make it look better. And 100% of the time, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that looks so amazing. And you did that so quickly." But as I'm doing it, I'm talking through why, you know, I'm saying I'm moving this here because it needs to have white space around it. I'm making this bigger so that it's not fighting with the paragraph
Yeah.
underneath it, you know. So they're learning, but also watching a pro designer do what we do in order to make something look so good, you know. So and then yeah, I'd love to keep doing that, but that's where I'd need to, as we grow, I'll bring in a designer VA that can help me, you know, help the members with that type of thing. But it's so powerful for them to see like a before and after. Here's how you go from this to this. If it's a really big question, what I do is I let them know that I'm going to show the answer to that question in one of our group calls. So
Yeah.
I can then do a deeper dive on, you know, like for example, we've done well, actually, our next call is all about alignment, design principles, alignment, contrast, hierarchy. You know, how do you lay out a page to make sure that your eye is being drawn in the right direction and that type of thing. We've covered how to create 12 faceless reels for Instagram in under 10
That's
minutes.
so smart.
Yeah. We've covered, gosh, what else have we done? Oh, how to create 52 just filler posts in Instagram in under 3 minutes, So I'm teaching all of this what's hot right now kind of thing in these group coaching sessions. But the great thing is they can just go back and watch it in the training hub and pause it and go and do that thing in Canva, and then watch the next bit and pause it and come back and do it again. So they learn on the call, but then they go and do it, when they've got their own time. So
I love the it's so different from what is out there in the market, like, learning Canva tips or tactics, but just having that design eye on it is just so powerful. I want to talk about two things right now. Number one is the features. What are some of the latest features of Canva that you think are amazing?
Yeah. Well, last year they started to open up the doors to AI, and since then, oh my gosh, like there are so many apps in there now that are AI. And I say to everybody, look, that's great and everything. You don't need to use them all. Maybe choose one or two that you really like that you can use in your design. So there's a whole section in Canva called, just check that I've got the name exactly right because they changed it. It's Magic Studio. 1 second.
Oh, good.
Magic Studio, yes. That actually, I'll touch back on them changing names of things because there's a major update to a name of one of the tools as well. But so Magic Studio. So when you log into Canva, on the left-hand side, there's a little purple gradient that says Magic Studio. If you go into there, you'll see all the new Magic AI tools. But there's a few that are my absolute favorite. So one of them is called Magic Grab. And what it basically does, if you could imagine, you've got, say, for example, a photo and it's got a wall in it and it's got some flowers sitting on a table. Yeah. And then you go and put your text in, but the text is over the flowers and it's just not quite working. And you can't move the whole photo because there's not enough space either side. So there's a thing called Magic Grab. And what it does is it grabs the main part of the photo, so the flowers in the vase, detaches it from the background, and then you can move just that little element around to fit. So Magic Grab, love it. So this tool has had a rename. So it used to be called the Resize tool, then it was called the Magic Resize tool. Now it's called Resize and Magic Switch.
Okay. So, wow. Okay.
when you're in a Canva design, up the top, there's a button called Resize and Magic Switch. Now you need to have a Canva Pro account to use this, but what it does, it allows you to take, say, a square Instagram post, and then you resize it to a story, then you resize it to a YouTube thumbnail, then you resize it to an ebook, and it does most of the work for you. When you're changing orientation from something that's, say, square to a portrait style story, for example, you are going to have to manually move some things around. So it doesn't do everything perfectly for you, but it does the majority of the work.
Yeah.
And I think my record is it's 11 pieces of artwork in under 10 minutes, like perfectly designed and ready to deploy. Like,
just amazing.
And as a designer, in the past, using the Adobe Creative Suite to create 10 or 11 pieces of content would take you a good hour because you've got to do each one individually and they're designed and saved separately, and then you've got to create PDFs of each, like pain in the butt. Yeah. So they're some of my favorite features. But you can now, if you're not a designer, you can use Magic Design and Magic Design for video, and you basically just put in a photo and it will magically design you a whole bunch of posts or video based on the content that you share with it, and you can put a little prompt in as well. So if anyone's used Chat GPT, then you'll know about putting prompts in. So when you're using any of the AI tools inside of Canva, the better the prompt, the better the outcome. So yeah. There's loads. There's so many features.
Oh my!
We could do a 3-hour podcast just on new features.
We'll probably have to do like a little bit of a webinar for my people coming up. I think I love, just from my marketing brain, some of the things you said earlier, where you're like, design 52 posts in 3 minutes or whatever you were saying.
Oh yeah, yeah,
so cool.
Actually, if you go to my Instagram, which is @branded by Rebecca Flint, I share that content on there as well. You can do the 52 posts in under 3 minutes. It's in my reels. It's actually the most popular piece of content that I've ever put out.
Guys, Branded by Rebecca Flint. Go check it out. As we're starting to wrap up, I also want to know one more thing. What are some trends, some design trends, or just content trends that you're seeing that are you should pay attention to?
Yeah, I think from a designer's perspective, there's a real trend around kind of that minimalistic luxury feel.
Yeah.
So instead of packing your page out with, every single element that you could possibly think, just make it really minimal. You really like you've got to think of the person viewing your content. They're so busy. They've already got 1,200 files open in their mind, and you're trying to break through all of that clutter and noise that's going on in their life. What you need to do is make it very easy for the person to burn less brain calories when they're seeing your content. So, very quickly, what's the headline? Make it stand out. What's the next either call to action or sub piece of text that you need them to read? And if you need them to take action, tell them exactly what you need them to do. But from a design perspective, this is like I'm talking, you know, beautiful kind of plain, not too hard to look at background.
Yep.
So oftentimes I'll put a photo on top of a black background and tone my photo right back so that my white text really pops off. So I want someone to look at my content, quickly take in what I've written, and if it appeals to them, great, they'll take an action. If it doesn't, they'll scroll on by. But you need to make it easy for the person's brain to consume your content and burn less calories doing it. So that's something Donald Miller talks a lot about with his storyboarding copywriting technique. You need to help people burn less calories. They've got so many other things going on. I don't mean burn calories for weight loss. I mean brain calories, like taking up brain space, mental load, so
Really
make it easy. So keep it clean. Yeah, maybe one headline, one piece of text or call to action, very simple background. Cleaner, plainer, more minimalistic is better. So
cool. Good advice. Now, when's the program open again if people want to join?
yeah. So I have a wait list at the moment,
Yep.
and it's reopening on April 30. So,
Oh my
and that will
gosh.
only be for 3 or 4 days this time. So it'll be a very short open window. But yeah, if anyone's keen, they can go to my website and jump on the wait list.
And what's your website link domain?
Yeah, it's just RebeccaFlint.com.
Okay.
If you go there, a pop-up will pop up, and there is a banner up the top for the wait list, so you can go right there. But it's RebeccaFlint.com/Canva Society waitlist if you're desperate to type it
Absolutely
in.
brilliant. And I'm loving that this episode's actually going to be coming out like literally right at your launch. So that's going to be
Awesome.
perfect. So you
That's
guys,
so cool.
if you're listening now, you have to action now. You have to go to RebeccaFlint.com and go over there and get into the waitlist.
Oh,
It might
thank you.
even be open when you go over there. So
Might be.
make sure to do that. A lot of my listeners we definitely have some sort of solo startups, but a lot of them are growing, and they
awesome.
are
Perfect.
also, they have team members on their team. They're kind of going into this from startup to scale mode. So you mentioned earlier about training team members too. Is that a good use? VAs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got VAs and PAs in there. So typically, they view the content on behalf of obviously the brand or the business owner. So even though it's not theirs, I mean, often I'll say your business, your brand, but they know that they're talking about their business's brand. But it's exactly the same principles. Nothing changes. So so anyone that creates content for a business, whether they're a VA, PA, receptionist, avid marketer, frustrated graphic designer, they're all welcome.
And do you also teach?
And no design skills necessary.
Good. I was going to ask about background, and I was also going to ask about video. Do you also talk about the animations and the video features in Canva too?
Yeah. Inside of Canva, yes. Oftentimes I get asked about outside app tools, and I'm staying right in my lane for this one. It's graphic design, branding, and Canva.
Excellent.
So,
so good. Yeah. Oh, Rebecca, I'm loving our chat. Yes, I am. I'm just so happy for you that you've launched it and that you're doing it again. It's just going to keep growing, and I think it is the universe's sign to you to stay in your lane as well and keep doing more.
Duly noted.
As we start to wrap up, so you guys now know where to go find Rebecca. So it's branded by Rebecca Flint is on your socials like Instagram, and you can check her out there. RebeccaFlint.com is where they can go to your website. Yeah, I got those right?
Yeah,
perfect.
Correct. Yes.
Do you have any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. Look, being in business today is really hard. You have to do everything. You're the marketer, the cleaner, the CEO, the receptionist, you're everything, right? And even if you are scaling, you're still wearing many, many hats. So my advice is, when it comes to learning Canva and creating content that you're going to put out on your socials, even if it's web banners, whatever it is, just be patient with yourself. You're not going to be a pro designer like me. I've been doing this for 25 years. You're not going to be at that phase just yet. But if, like anything, weight loss, fitness, health and wellness, if you take small steps every day, and you build your skills every day and you learn a little bit more, or even every week if that's easier, just be patient with yourself and don't worry if it's not perfect. Put it out anyway, because you need to have people start building recognition through repetition and consistency of your brand being out there. And having a crap brand out there is better than having no brand out there at all.
And that is spoken from a designer, everyone. That's good advice.
I know. I would never have said this 10 years ago. Just get yourself out there. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
Oh, that's like, couldn't have been the better way to end this. So thank you so much for sharing everything and your story and your backstory. And I am looking forward to seeing where your amazing society, Canva Society, is that what you called it? Just want to say
that Canva Society.
Canva Society, where it goes, how it grows. It's going to be an amazing journey to watch. So thanks so much for being here.
All right, no worries. Thank you.